Hi, I'm Kaye England, and today we're going to share with you how to make a fabulous little tree. And I'm going to give you a quick peek at it. Here you go. Now, let's get busy. You're not going to believe how quick and how easy this little fellow is going to be for you. So for those of you who followed us on some of our Facebook Lives and our YouTubes, you'll know that I have already discussed with you how to make flying geese units. This is really a variation on that flying geese using the half square and the quarter square good measure ruler from Brewer. And I think you're going to be really pleased with the results. So the only thing I need you to do if you were getting ready to make one of these is I need a 2.5-inch strip with the fabric, and I mean a 2.5 by 44 or whatever it is. I need a light and a dark. So I need one fabric for the tree and one fabric for the background. And I need my half square and my quarter square triangle. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the tree, and then I'll cut the background, and then I'll show you how I sew it. So I've already pre-cut because on all the previous videos I've showed you how I cut, showed you how I arrive at these. Now I've chosen one of the my new Blackwood Cottage fabrics. I'm going to make a black and a cream tree. Now you can make an Easter tree, you can make a Valentine's Day tree, but I chose this one for today. So I'm going to cut my tree first, and my tree is the black, and I'm also going to be cutting with my quarter square good measure ruler when I cut the tree. And then what I'm going to do is I'll lay out these segments as I cut them, and then we'll do a real close-up to show you what it all looks like. So the proper use for the flying geese unit, which is what this element cuts, is really laying it down on the fabric, and wherever the height of your strip of fabric is, that's what that quarter square triangle is going to be. So when I end up cutting my first unit, it's going to be the width of my fabric, and I have chosen 2.5 inches. So I am at the 2.5-inch line on my quarter square ruler. And I'm pretty comfortable positioning my hand like you see it and making the first cut. And then I'm going to move that little finger before I make the second cut. And now there is my perfectly cut quarter square triangle, the exact size of my tool. Every time I make a cut, I am going to move a 1-inch increment. So I was positioned at the 2.5-inch line on my first cut. I'm going to now go to the 3.5-inch line. Now, when you turn this tool, you can turn it over, but I just consider rotating it a little easier. So I'm going to rotate it. Now here would be a 2.5, but I got to go to the 3.5-inch line. So I'm going to have to move my tool until it stops at the 2.5-inch line. And notice how important those sight lines are where I have breaks, and I can slide that tool right in. And also notice the nose that's hanging off. That's what's going to give me my branches. And now I only have to make one cut per branch. So here comes branch number 2. And now I'm going to slide over here. I'm going to come back around with my tool. Here's my 2.5, but now we've cut a 2.5 and a 3.5. Work with me. We're going to go to the 4.5, and look, my initials are right there. That proves this is my ruler. And the nose is going to get just a little bit larger as the hang off shows. And I'm going to slide branch 3, and now I'm going to come around like this, go back. Now I got to go to 5.5, and that's all the way down there. Well, look, it's right under Kaye England. That ought to be easy to find. Now, if you happen to have an earlier ruler, it might say Nifty Notions on it, and it might not say Kaye England, but there was a name change along the way, and we've addressed that in a lot of previous videos. Now my last cut is going to be at 6.5. So I've done a 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. 6.5 is all the way down here. So I'm going to slide until I'm at that 6.5. Now don't worry about what it's at on the top because the nose is getting larger. We want what the base of the branch is. Now I could actually go ahead because my tool will let me cut up to 7.5. I sort of like 5 branches. I don't know why, I just do. So now I'm finished with my 1/4 square ruler. Now I'm going to pick up my 1/2 square ruler and I'm going to pick up my background strip of fabric that I pre-cut 2.5 by width of fabric. I'm going to get off my selvage. And now, I need to cut a set. That means right sides together or wrong sides together will yield me a set. And I'm going to cut in the same number orientation that I did on the tree. The way I use this tool is I lay it down. I'm going to slide until I'm flush on the bottom. And I find home right there at that 2.5. See how that sets in? And what's really neat with these sight lines is how important that corner is to tell me that I have cut everything properly. Now I'm going to cut a set of 2.5 inch 1/2 square triangles. And they're going to go on the last branch of my tree. So they're going to sit like that. Now, I got to go to 3.5. So I'm going to turn this tool over. And right there would be a perfect 2.5, but I have to go to 3.5. So I'm just simply going to slide down till I'm right at the 3.5. Now it looks a little funny, doesn't it? Because it's got that wide edge, but that's exactly what we've got to have. And I'm going to open it up, and the 45-degree angle is the one that's got to go to the angle on the branch. So there's a 2.5 and a 3.5. Now, if you forget how to do this, go back to your 2.5, and I've got to slide over to the 4.5 right there. I've got my sight lines. Everything's pretty good. Now, there's a tad of forgiveness in this cutting because of the way we're sewing it, but I still think if your tool lets you cut it right, why not try to shoot for getting it on the money every time? 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. Now I need a 5.5. And the second cut always is a little bit confusing. I want to be sure that I don't move this, so let me re-straighten that. And I'm going to slide down to my 5.5, and I'm getting a set of background. And it's going to go, I'm just going to have to reach, pardon me for being in front of the camera. Now I got a 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. My last one is sliding all the way over to my 6.5. Now, while I have this one in my hand, I want to give you a little tip. I recommend that you get this nose off now, and I'm going to show you why. So if I take that nose off, and I'm going to lay it down, and then do is arbitrarily pick up one that's in the middle to show you this. See, if this nose is on and you turn it over to sew it, it's a little confusing about where you drop your needle. If I take the tool and just get the nose off on the pointed end, and then I get ready to sew it, look how simple that became right here, because now I have a flat top matching a flat top. And then I start sewing smack on that corner, which is 1/4 inch, and slide down and come out in this valley right here. Now, you don't have to do this. After you sew a few, you probably could avoid that, but I am telling you that I have found out that is the slickest way. Now, let me show you. I know that looks a little sloppy. Now, I'm gonna take a look at this little guy. This is what he's supposed to look like. Now, you can tell by looking at this one, wait, he's got a tree trunk. I don't have to have one, but what about, I've already pre-cut a strip of the tree 1.5 inches wide by 2.5. And then I cut 2 rectangles, 2.5 by 6. And this entire block, this tree, will finish 12 inches. So it's going to be 12.5 when it lays on the table. I like to border them, so I'm kind of thinking, gosh, this is one of my new Blackwood Cottage fabrics, and I'm thinking, that'd be awfully cute, wouldn't it? I could put a stripe border around it. It's wide open. Whatever you want to do. Now, let me show you the back. I do like to make sure that you understand, I think it's a little smarter to press the branches toward the top of the tree. And this has just been finger pressed. I actually like this last one down, but this is arbitrary. I just feel like these points may lay a little happier. If you like it better that way, well, send it the way you like it. It doesn't really matter. Now, let me show you a little fun one that I just did. I think I did this last Christmas. And it is really 2 trees exactly like I just did, with the exception of, I was playing around with some of the AccuQuilt dies and did a snowflake and a tree and put this little banner in. Now, if I didn't want that, what I would do is I would just do this, and look how now what I end up with is an upside down tree, kind of a reflection. And as you can tell, I used 2 different fabrics and just alternated them. But this is a fabulous way to get a really quick project out of any kind of fabric that you like. Now, if you have any questions about this, be sure and post those, because what we'll do is try to get to that and answer any questions for you. And anything about whose fabric it is and what we did, all of that's going to show up in the description. So you shouldn't have any problem finding all of those. I can't make this any tougher, folks. I wish I could, but the half square and a quarter square is going to be your new best friend, and we're going to start showing you some other things you can do with those. So have a great day, and make me some trees and show me some photos. I'd love to see the pictures. See you later. Fabulous little tree items, and I'm going to give you a little, well, I don't know, that didn't come out.
You can say
Okay.
it once you get in.
Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Kaye England here today to